Hello everyone, it's Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Chilling Reign, make sure you go ahead and check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your order using that code Omnipoke. For today's video, we're taking a break from post-rotation, and we're having a look at Cube format, my favourite format, because the Champions Cube is just around the corner, so I wanted to give my thoughts and impressions on the cube that we are going to be playing, which is that Delta Eevee cube from Blue. So yeah, first of all, just in case you want to tune in to the Champions Cube, it will be streamed by the P3 podcast. Certainly check out that podcast as well if you're looking to get into Cube. It's going to be held over the weekend of the 14th and 15th of August, so next week from when I'm recording this. And yeah, there's going to be everything from the draft itself to we're expecting 5 rounds and a 6th round if we need to have bubbles so that we have a clean cut, which is nice. And then it's top 8, top 4, then finals, of course. I don't know how they're going to be doing the draft, whether they're going to follow just one person the entire draft, or they're going to be hopping around tabs, because this is, of course, played online. They have the license to do whatever they want, which is going to be cool. But yeah, it's going to be commentated by a number of casters, so that'll be really good. If I drop out, I may even do some commentary if they ask me. So yeah, as I said, it's a Delta Cube, but there are some rules to go over first before we jump into looking at the cards themselves. This is like my second time looking over the cube, so I do have a little bit of insight, but I haven't actually drafted this cube before, so I'm a little bit inexperienced compared to a lot of the other people who have done this cube before. They have run it a few times in the Cube League. I just haven't really had a lot of focus on the Discord, unfortunately, because I've been a little bit busy recently. But because of my second place finish in the last Champions Cube, I got the auto entry anyway. So I didn't have to stress about going through a bunch of tournaments this time around. So hopefully we can repeat it and get lucky with our draft and try and power through just like we did in the last Champs Cube. But yeah, here are the rules. Dark Pokemon are treated as their normal forms. That's pretty standard. Prime Pokemon are considered EX, so that they give up 2 prizes when KO'd, and they do not work with cards such as Scramble Energy. Okay, so that's obviously a big deal. Prime cards give up 2 prizes. Have to bear that in mind. All players are given 2 copies of Delta Eevee, 1 copy of Weakness Guard, and 4 copies of React Energy. That's going to be pretty interesting as well. I know that there aren't many stage 1s internally in the cube, and is, of course, the namesake of the cube is Delta Eevee's cube. A lot of the stage 1 options are going to revolve around different evolutions, so that's certainly going to be interesting. React Energy has some cool interactions with certain cards as well, which we'll get into. It's Gen 4 rules, so Diamond and Pearl, which means you draw on the first turn, you can't play trainer supporters or stadiums, but you can attach an attack. And supporters stay in play the turn that you use them, which is fine. And it's the old burn rule, so it's not the guaranteed 2 damage counters. Okay, good to know. There is a Gentleman's Mulligan, which means that if you have a hand even with a basic in, you can choose to mulligan it away. You still show your opponent and you say, this is going to be a Gentleman's Mulligan, and your opponent does not get to draw for it as well. So that's something to bear in mind. Obviously, cube decks are that little bit less consistent sometimes, so knowing when to trigger your Gentleman's Mulligan with your opening hand is something going to be important. You can't do it infinitely until you just high roll your best supporter or whatever. You get 1 Gentleman's Mulligan per game, I think it is. All trainer cards from before Black and White are classified as trainer item. Okay, so that's because we have mixed generations of cards in here. My camera's decided to die for some reason. I'll try and get it back on. Don't know why it's turned itself off midway through a recording, but there we are. Here we go, we're back. Don't know why it just chose to turn itself off. It's not the battery, it's plugged in, but whatever. Here we are. Yeah, because there's different eras of Pokemon in play, all in the same cube. We're trying to marry up the things where it's trainer items. Supporters are trainer supporter. Completely fine. Abilities are considered powers. Activated abilities are powers. Continuous abilities are considered as bodies. That's going to be important to note in case there's anything locking down these things, and newer cards that have come out that have abilities. We will have to see if they are, safeguarded or not around certain disruption pieces. So that's something to bear in mind. When drafting Poker Blower Plus, Poker Drawer Plus, and Custom Catcher and Puzzle, you get 2 copies. So, wow, those are going to be big, big picks. First of all, you're getting 2 cards for the price of 1, and you basically always want these effects in your cube. Poker Drawer Plus being a really powerful effect, Puzzle of Time being ridiculous as well. Especially in cubes where oftentimes you play less internal discard in your deck, you naturally get to use these sorts of effects without having to worry about discarding them. So they seem like really strong and worth drafting and prioritizing. You can use more than 4 copies. That's pretty standard, except Drawer. You can only use 4 copies. Okay. That's fine. So I can only draft 2 Poker Drawers. Or I can draft more just to hate draft them, I guess. You can start the game with a fossil in play. I'm pretty sure there's Armaldo in here. So you can start with Claw Fossil. As if it were a basic. You can mulligan a hand that has a fossil in it, but you don't have to. Okay, so that's an interesting way to cheese additional gentleman's mulligans, effectively, is how I'm reading this. So if you play Armaldo and not many other basic Pokemon, you actually can, by how I'm reading this, gentleman's mulligan, even when you have fossil appearing all the time, until you actually get a cracked hand where you have, like, fossil plus attachment plus search and that sort of thing. So that's actually could be pretty good to play Armaldo. They do not give up prize cards either. That's nutty. Interesting. Pushing Armaldo. Have to see if it's actually strong enough in a vacuum. But that's a lot of push. Because fossils now are just good to take throughout the draft because they can just be like a Pokédoll where you just shove it active attached to somewhere else and pass and just say, yeah, hit through this, it does nothing. Huh. I think that's actually a really scary rule that fossils give up no prizes. Gonna see if I can play around that somehow. Makes me want to play sniping attackers, and it makes me want to pick up fossils here and there, even if I'm not Armaldo, because that's a way to just buy free turns off of people, depending on how good the gust is. We've seen that there's custom catchers, but I don't know what other gust there's going to be. Steam's advice is Posterata, energy removal, and scoop up are treated as an ace spec. Okay, so those are just very, very powerful trainer effects, so making them 1 use sounds pretty fair. Ace specs go to the lost zone after being played, also pretty fair. Don't want to spam these with like puzzle and stuff. Lusamine and Sinlin can't chain, that's fine. EX and EX are the same, that's also fine. And there are some custom cards in the cube as well. They're trying to enable mutant evolution between deltas. The cube does not have any other methods to perform mutant evolution. It's only these 4 cards that allow it. So there's 1 item, 1 tool, 1 stadium, and an ace spec that allows you to do this. And they're just saying how you can do it with untap. That's fine. So let's see these mutant cards. So we have to analyze these first. So there's mutant candy. And bear in mind, we are given for free 2 Eevees, right? So any Eevee can either evolve into any evolution, but also if we draft these mutant delta cards, you can also evolve your Eevees into those things, or you can use your other delta Pokemon that are in the cube and just sort of weave them off into different weird lines. So the candy, choose one of your delta Pokemon in play, search your deck for a delta Pokemon, put it onto that Pokemon. It doesn't say anything about whether or not this specifies as evolving for turn. So I'm worried that this is like an ace spec effect that is... So it feels like an Evo Soda, but it doesn't say this counts as evolving your Pokemon. Okay. I'll have to clarify these sorts of things. Because now this looks like an Evo Soda. Mutant drink, a Delta mutant drink. Choose one of your Delta Pokemon in play, search your deck for a Pokemon of the next stage and put it onto that Pokemon. This counts as evolving. Shuffle your deck afterwards. You can't use this card during your first turn on the turn that was put into play. So I guess this is just a buffed version of Mutant Drink. Choose one of your... Search your deck for a... and put it onto that Pokemon. Yeah, with no restrictions. So the Mutant Drink is the same as the Mutant Candy. It's just Mutant Candy's the A-spec version. Just like, boom, insta-evolve. That's pretty nutty. This is still a good card, though, the Mutant Drink. It's kind of limited into its use, but it seems okay. Mutant Gene is a tool. That's going to be fine. The non-EX basic Delta Pokemon, so that's a lot of restrictions, that this card is attached to, can evolve into any Stage 1 Delta. The non-EX Stage 1 Pokemon that this card is attached to may evolve into any Stage 2. Okay. Delta Pokemon. So we'll have to look at other, I think there's Deltas in every category. Yeah, it looks like every category has a number of the Delta evolutions, and then there's some Stage 2s and Stage 1s over here that we can, like, branch off into as techs. I think that's kind of what they're going for here. And then there's the Stadium Mutant, Delta Mutant Zone. All non-EX basic Delta Pokemon can evolve into any Stage 1 Delta Pokemon. All non-EX Stage 1 Delta Pokemon can evolve into any Stage 2 Delta Pokemon. So this is a dual-sided effect, but pretty similar to some of these other things, like the Gene and stuff like that. Pretty spicy, actually. And I think it's going to allow some creativity. Some cards like Nidoqueen and Feraligatr are very good, so those will be ones that we'll have to think about. And it even means that, like, Flygon can peel off into some of these other types and just be like a high priority pick. So yeah, looking pretty cool. Pack distribution is also important. I imagine we'll be in 8-player pods. I don't actually know for Champs Cube how many people are involved, but all of these pack sizes look okay. You should be able to have 2 passes of packs, of at least like your starter packs, so that's cool. And there's just a change log, so that's a lot of information to just take in straight away before even talking about the cube. But really, all we need to know is that it's Dynapil starting rules. Claw Fossil seems broken. Primes are way worse, and we have this mutant thing going on that makes me think there may be some Stage 2 mutant cards that I might want to splash here and there. So now let's start looking at the power level of some of these cards. Just from the offset, we can see that there's basic deltas and basic regulars all over the place. So all of these Stage 2 lines have the same sort of outs to actually branch off into anything. So it's only really I guess even Armaldo has the double Anorith that could then become other Stage 2s. So every single Stage 2 line that you are drafting, I think somewhat you want to prioritize the Delta evolutions compared to just the regular forms, just because A, there's only 2 copies of each of them, and you want that flexibility to become other Delta Pokemon, I think, if you can draft those sorts of items. But I don't want to go too heavily like down a rabbit hole of saying I have to play a Delta box. There's nothing wrong with going like heavy on a regular type coverage and then just having like one weird Delta to offset typing or something like that. So just something to bear in mind there. But let's get sort of a level of how strong things are. So we have Sceptile, Typhlosion, Kingdra, Amphi, Guardi, Armaldo, Titar as our Stage 2s. The Stage 1s are all Eeveelutions apart from Executor, which seems to be in here, which is fine. And we have and we also have Flygon as a Stage 2 line, I should say. So yeah, and then we have some supporting Pokemon. Delcatty is a very good support line. 2 energy draws in the entire cube. 3 backups. Okay. Are there any other big drawing cards? We're not having Draw Guardi, right? Yeah, okay. What other big consistency cards do we have? Looks like we've got some Jirachis in here, some Stellar Wishes. Got 1 Portrait Smeargle. Not a huge amount of consistency just inbuilt in your deck. So that, you know what that always means. It means we're prioritizing Porygon. It means we're prioritizing Milotic to be one of these payoff cards. And Delcatty is obviously a huge one that we want to try and find for draw. So that's going to be important. Right, okay, let's look at the visual then. My camera has died again. I didn't even realize when that happened, but here we go. I'm going to turn it off and on. I really couldn't tell you why the camera's dying. I don't know what's going on. I've been using it the last few days and there's been no issues with it, so I don't know why today is the day it decides to die. But let's have a look at some of these payoff cards then. I'm actually going to zoom that a little bit more so you have a good chance to read all of this stuff. Yeah, the 3x3 sounds good. So 130 hit points, stage 1 prizer sounds good for a stage 2. Healing from your own chaps seems like a good plan. So this seems to be like the flagship 1 prizer in terms of just being like a beat stick. Energy Trans is kind of a payoff card for allowing you to move energies around, but it doesn't seem like a good attacker. Green Breath is really good as well for a little bit of healing. So the healing of Green Breath and Energy Bloom sounds pretty good. And Leaf Blast actually isn't a bad attack either. So that's a pretty good one, the Arceus Sceptile. We have a couple of the chunkier Pokemon. So these are both 2 prizes. This one is an expensive attacker for certain. Sceptile EX, the Delta. Each Pokemon EX can't use powers and pays 1 colorless more to use its attacks. That's pretty powerful. It's slowing other people down. If we want to go, like just leaning into these Sceptiles and then having this Sceptile EX to slow other decks down, and then Power Revenge does 60 plus 10 for each prize your opponent has taken. That can also become a good late game swing. I am kind of worried about some of these EXs though when they have the dual weakness. That always puts me off that little bit. So something to bear in mind. But resistance to water of minus 30, that is gross to deal with. We've got some cool Grovalls in here. Grabbing grass out the deck is never too bad. And we obviously have the Deltas in here as well. So that's okay. Call for Family and Find a Friend Tricos. Those are kind of important to pick up. We have Flygon. I know Delta Flygon is going to be like a big card. Once during a turn, you may attach a basic energy card or a Delta Rainbow from your hand to one of your Pokemon that has Delta in its name. Can't be used if Flygon is affected by a special condition, but it's free energy attachments to your Delta things. So that's something to really bear in mind and draw towards, because it's a potentially universal accelerator, right? Because you can spring off of some of these mutant evolution ideas with your Delta stuff and then have the supply to actually attach towards it. Then we have the Flygon EX as the sort of attacking presence. Once during a turn, when you play Flygon EX from your hand to evolve, you can search your discard pile for up to 2 energy and attach them to Flygon. So really powers itself up very quickly. This has a attack that interacts with React Energy. You can discard any number of React Energy from Flygon. If you do, this is 40 plus 30 more damage for each React Energy you discarded. So that's powerful. And Dragon Claw looks to be expensive, the sort of 5 for 100 cost. But you are manually attaching 2 energy. Oh, sorry, you're getting 2 free attachments from a merge charge. So actually not that bad. And maybe there's a way that we can manipulate those attachments as well. Things like the energy trans. And just this could again be a universe accelerator, so something not to be slept on at all. Seems pretty cool. Yeah, and Trapinch is all looking fine. Have a couple of grass support mons here. We have Kingdra. I think Kingdra looks efficient as well. There's a couple of 130 hit points, 1 prizes, which is good. Aquastream Dragon Pump is always like a very solid combo because it's just a 1 energy attacker. Dragon Pump doing 40. If you discard 2 cards from your hand, you do 20 more and a 20 snipe. Sniping pressure is obviously very good. 60 isn't a huge amount of damage in this sort of cube, I don't think, but for 1 attachment, it still comes onto the board quite quickly. An Aquastream does 10x for the amount of water in your discard pile, and then I believe you shuffle them all back in. Yeah, so could be a way for you to like finish off 2 shots, and it means that you can throw away waters with Dragon Pump without too much issue. And I think it seems very strong if you pick up something like a Delcatty. You end up getting to shuffle them all back into the deck to make you churn and burn through that little bit faster. So that Kingdra's looking good. Water Arrow, more sniping pressure. Steam Pump, doing 80 and returning an energy to your hand isn't a bad deal either. So both looking pretty solid here when we're comparing it to the other cards that we've seen so far, the Flygon and the Sceptile. These seem pretty efficient, I'd say. 30 snipe as well shouldn't be something that you sleep on. It's actually really good in a format like this. The Kindred EX can use attacks from its basics and stage 1s, so we're going to have to look at all the Seadras and the horses to see which ones to prioritize. Hydro Cannon does 50 and 20 more for each water attached to Kingdra, but not used to pay for the attack, so you can go up to 90 if you have 5 attachments. That's pretty expensive, but the hit points on this guy is big. We have a Delta EX. Stage 2, reduce. Okay, that's fine. Not really. I mean, it's pretty good, actually. You also shut off your weakness. That's kind of nice. And this Kingdra, the Dragon Curse, once during a turn, if it's your active, you can put 2 counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon with Delta on it. So you can just use this as like a pivot in and out if you can find some retreat cost reducing cards or some abilities that allow you to pivot in and out. Kingdra could be a good way to punish other Delta Pokemon just in general. And its attacks, Extra Flame isn't actually that bad either. Hitting into EXs, 2 for 60, is actually pretty good. So Dragon Curse is going to be something to bear in mind, because I can certainly see things like Flygon being popular. I can see... Well, that's the Delta that I'm seeing super popular so far, but it can, sprinkle onto like Eevees and all that other stuff and be dangerous. You can combine it with like your Water Arrows, your Dragon Pumps. So Kingdra looks like a scary package all in all. Lots of good spread options. Some good attacks that we could be copying with the EX. Flipping some coins seems good. A flat 50 for 1 is very good. 60 for 1 into EXs. Okay, there's some really nice stuff here. That's an efficient Kingdra EX, actually. Retaliate is on a coin flip, but still. Something to bear in mind. Interesting. Some other nice water Pokemon in here. Having Beacon is going to be a big card for a lot of people. A 90 hit point basic Pokemon. You know me, I'm always looking out for my basic Pokemon. Not the most efficient of them, but he's okay. Latios EX as well. Prevented, done to Latios by your opponent's EX. Okay. Basic Pokemon looking okay so far. Good to know, good to know. We have some evolutions. So Espeon increases the hit points of our other Eevees. Espeon Prime can copy attacks from other things, gives you psychic type coverage. Delta Heal, you can remove a counter from each of your Pokemon that has a Delta in it. Okay, so that could be good for some tanking archetypes. Flareon, discarding an energy to discard from the defending is okay. Undeveloped is always just a good effect. I think all of the undeveloped evolutions are efficient. So certainly something to bear in mind. I think Leafeon's a good card to just have in play as well. You do have to be active for it, but you can do some extra reduction and healing between your guys, which is nice. Giving your evolutions freedom of retreat. Obviously, we're given some Eevees for free as well, which is cool. Umbreon Prime, looking good if you want to go full Eevees, but I imagine the evolutions will be heavily contested a lot of the time. And there's a lot more Eevees in here. There's even more Delta Eevees. We have Typhlosion. So we know all about Typhlosion, right? He's trying to accelerate energies. There's there's Fire Starter and there's Afterburner, both attaching from the discard pile. We have, looks like these are the aggressive Typhlosions. They have quite low hit points. And the Burning Aura damages them even more. So I'm not sure how much I like the idea of actually playing towards these two. I think I'd just play towards these two instead. And this Delta Typhlosion is similar to the Kingdra, but it's moving a counter from either player's Pokemon to another. So it's a 1 counter heal to do a 1 counter deal to your opponent. So that's actually pretty good if we want to spec into a Delta line, potentially. Infernape seems pretty good. Spit Bomb's pressure early is pretty scary, actually. That's spicy. You know me, I like some Latias EX as well. Okay, so as soon as I look at the Ampharos, I think, wow, this is going to be strong. Jamming, putting counters on your opponent's Pokemon for using supporters is just mandatory that they have to play into that. There's a Prime and an EX that both put counters on when they attach energies. So that's always really good. So the Holland Veil also seems like a big payoff. Delta Circle even does good damage here. That's a very, very good card. All of these Amphiroses seem very high power. I think these are some of the best cards in the cube that I've seen so far. Typhlosion has like 1 or 2 key pieces, like the Prime and the Delta. Man, okay, those Amphiroses seem like, for me so far, the best stage 2 line I could be working towards. Definitely something to bear in mind. That seems like a very powerful stage 2 to look towards. There's even synergy with Evolving Thunder, where you can deal more damage to benched Pokemon, so even more synergy for the Lightning deck, if we really need to. Godiva is looking... What am I trying to attack with this Godiva? We get acceleration from this guy. We get healing, which is good. But this isn't like really an attacker, right? Godiva EX is a dangerous attacker, to be fair. This Psychic Connect Guardi is probably the build around. You're building around Energy Burst, I think, is going to be the way Guardi tries to win. Just like pick up these two, maybe this one. The Heal Dance can go into all sorts of decks, I guess. Just as a bit of passive heal. Interesting, okay. I don't know why you'd have Energy Jump and Psychic Connect. One of them's clearly better than the other. Times the number of your opponent's bench. I guess Black Magic is a dangerous attack. Okay. The Guardi isn't setting me alight. I think if you find early Psychic Connect, it might be worth building towards, but otherwise I'm probably not too fussed about it. Grudge is actually a pretty efficient attack. Bear that in mind. So Armaldo, I already am pretty certain that Claw Fossil is busted if I'm just allowed to mulligan until I have the perfect hand, and they give up no prize cards, so I can just buy time behind them. But Armaldo stops your opponent playing supporters as well, which is pretty good. Dual armor on the EX as well, allowing you to be grass and fighting type to hit for multiple weaknesses. The defending Pokemon has any resistance. This does 100 instead of 70. How many resistances do we have out here? Are we going to see any resistances? Okay, so resistance to metal. That's good for you. This has no resistances. I guess there will be some additional resistance on some of these. Yeah, resistance to fighting, resistance to fighting. Resistance to water on some of these. Okay, so it's actually relevant text. Hitting around 100 for 3 is very efficient. You're hitting for 2 weaknesses as well. Alder, you know, I might finally get baited into fossils. I think the fossils have been pushed enough in this cube that it might be worth it. Delta Edge is very bad. Fossil Charge, discard a claw. If you do, choose one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, this does 90 to that Pokemon. So it's risky, but a 50-30 is good damage. I feel like I'm ignoring the deltas and just going towards Primal Veil, though. These 3 seem just like a build around, to be honest. There's a fast evolution. You'll love to see that. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 Claw Fossils. So I'm worried that people will just take the Claw Fossils because they're just good in general. But they seem worthwhile, you know. Stopping supporters when everyone has to play stage 2s seems really good. Like if you just make this before they make their own stage 2, that could just be nutty. Weakness to grass. There are some Leafeons out there, as well as I do think Sceptile looks strong, so that's a bit worrying. But Executor is just a good card in general. Obviously, a payoff attack for having lots of different deltas around. You naturally have your Eevees. You have a few other basics that can easily be deltas, so this is just good. Split Bomb as well is like kind of okay, just for finishing off or setting up damage. Reggie is actually a pretty good boyo as a basic. Watch and Learn also pretty scary. Tyranitar is looking chonky. We've got some 160 hit point Pokemon out here. Lots of them. So these are hard to get through. We've got T-Tar EX, the Delta. that puts shockwave markers on, and that means that you can then knock out your opponent. You can electromark, then shockwave them the next turn to just basically two-shot things, essentially. But you'd have to front-load your attachments, which is kind of cool. Hyperclaws is even okay. Crush Roar from T-Tar is, again, like this universal acceleration that we could use, similar to how Flygon is universal acceleration. So that's also very strong. And its attacks aren't even bad. Man, I think T-Tar is pretty cracked, to be honest. 160 hit points is just very, very good. Darkness Howl is dangerous for your own board, but I can see it just being good in general. Maybe we could just build a tanky T-Tar deck and have some of these heals in here to make him work. T-Tar is very interesting, for sure. I'm into it. I'm into the idea. So this Umbreon is busted. It's Gust. Umbreon is punishing special energies that little bit. Some good support Pokemon here. Manaphy is a really good card. Then we have the Holland attachment Pokemon just to have variety of attackers. My camera's died again, and I've still not even paid attention to it. Don't even know why. Is it even worth me having the camera at this point? Who knows? I only just noticed as I'm like casually just looking over to the right. I don't know how long it's been down for, but regardless, it's more about the cards anyway. So we have these sorts of tech delta Pokemon that we're trying to like spec into because we're mutanty. Dealing extra damage is nice. Dragoff is also a nice effect. Feraligatr is pretty good. Search your deck for a Pokemon that has Delta Search. Okay, that's also very good for search. We know Sharing is busted. Raichu is also very good for spread. Early game. Nidoqueen is a good engine. Vengeance is a good payoff as well. Man, the basics have been pushed a little bit, and I think Heatran and Dialga both seem very strong. Second Strike is just good tempo. And this is a 100 hit point basic. Man, these are nice. I think metal Pokemon looking good. Just metal basics. Like, why don't I just use these to attack with? These three. What acceleration do I need? I need some sort of acceleration to allow these to be a deck, but I'm excited by that. We can tank hits with these and then just smelt them over to Heatran and then just swing with heavy metal. Ooh, I'm going to play big basics again. There's the accelerator that we needed. Insane. The Registeel EX also seems very good. So we have a couple of Japanese cards. What do these do? Once your turn, is your active. Oh, wow. Okay, so this Pokepower is busted. It's a Smeargle, but you know what you're getting. 10 for each fighting energy attached. Okay, so I could see myself playing like Regirock, this, and a few basic metal guys. This is also a basic. Attach a fighting or metal from your hand. Okay. Right. I'm loving the idea of playing metal big basics now, I think. I will always try and find the best big basics in any cube. And I'm pretty sure like Regirock, Sudowoodo, and just the metal chaps seem pretty good. They seem pretty good. I do like the sound of Infernape as well. Oh, I know. I'm going to get baited into playing just big basics again, aren't I? Oh, it's going to happen. There's Celebration Wind Shaman as well, which is very good for the kind of deck that I'm eyeing up. If there's any like tools at all that help big basics, I will just draft these 3 cards and they will be my deck. Okay, and we'll obviously try and get a backup to be the fullback plan. There's even Ho-Oh. You know I love to draft me some Ho-Oh. Lots of good basics there. All right, I've rambled on about a lot of these Pokemon, so let's just have a quick look over the trainers and supporters. This is all looking pretty standard stuff. Nothing too crazy. So it's looking like there's going to be a Holland package, which I really like to play around with quite often. That's going to be a cool thing to tunnel towards. What else we got? Tons of supporters going on here. Ooh, Sabrina and Bryson. Okay, okay. I see you. Let's have a look at some of these trainers then. So energy removal is an A spec apparently. Custom catchers. Okay. Double gust in here as well. I didn't see any supporter gust, so I think it's just trainer gust. Holland Fossil is also a fossil. Search your deck for an Omnite, Kabuto, Aerodactyl, or Anorith. Okay, so there are 2 additional fossil cards. So you have 10 fossils for your basics. And these are like the best ones because they search out Anorith on a coin flip. Nice. Okay, there's a lot of transceivers in here as well. We've got laser. We've got... Oh, so, okay, so there's double saucer. Oh, I'm going to play Metal Big Basics. Oh, damn it. Well, just one of these cubes I won't play Big Basics, but... Not this one. Okay, so there's 4 potential poker drawers, and each time you draft 1, you get 2. And that's very insane. And puzzles seem insane. Scoop Up is a spec. Scramble Switch seems really good. And then we've got the mutant stuff. Okay, yeah, okay, so this makes sense. There's a couple of mutant candy A specs. There's a lot of the mutant drinks. That makes... Okay, so this is going to be pretty easy for me to actually make a mutant-y Delta thing. It's not like one person gets the lot and that's it. Some decent stadiums going on there as well. The mutant zones. 3 Cess Crystal. My head. Why? The cube was looking so good, and then there's 3 Cess Crystal just to ruin everyone's day. Oh, man. We've got belt. Okay. Counter energy. Double rainbow energy is very strong. There's 4 special metals as well. Why aren't we all just playing Metal Big Basics? I'm a basic gamer. You all know this. You know that I'll always do this in draft, but there's so much value in drafting basics because it's less picks than having to draft the derpy stage 1 and 2s. You get to just take more consistency cards. Let's have a look at these basics again. These just seem better than the stage 2s already in value. They have 100 hit points each. I know they're 2 prizes, but these are 1 prizes and they have 100 hit points. This one even gets Pokemon back for you. So I can, like, Heatran dies, then I can just reverse time, put it straight back on top of my deck, and then draw into him. I can see myself playing basics. Now I've realized that I've spoken so much about this, I may have to upload this after Champs Cubes actually happened. Do the draft and then tell everyone, surprise, I am playing big basics again. I think the other thing that I think looks good is Leafeon Sceptile. Will there be a pure fire deck? Yeah, there probably will. Typhlosion is probably good enough to be a pure fire deck. But I think a Sceptile Leafeon sounds good, with potential to play Guardy as additional healing. And you just try and undo... Like, 80 vanilla with healing on this Sceptile, the very first card in the cube, is just, like, very, very good. But there's a lot of Holland payoff cards as well. So going to be super interesting. Try and follow along to the cube itself, the draft, the matches. Maybe I get on stream 1 or 2 times. We'll see how the run goes. See how the draft goes. I'll try and record the draft itself and then do what I did last time, which is just like a recap of how the event, how it went for me. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this long-winded video about talking about the cube, but I really had to get to grips with the cube and really understand it myself to actually see what I'm going to try and draft. And I think on reflection, I'm going to go for some Metal Big Basics, or I'm going to go for Ampharos, Sceptile could get baited by Armaldo. Don't know if he's bait. He doesn't seem... His damage is kind of whack, but stopping supporters seems like an important card when I can combine it with other cards, you know? I can yeah. I could combine him with heals, to be honest, and other things. Maybe I just sit behind Claw Fossils while I build up my 3 energy attacking chaps. Because there really isn't much Gust, right? There really isn't much Gust. Okay, so I'm going to be random picking Claw Fossils as I go, just to buy me time towards getting my Metal Boys powered up. I've won this. This is easy. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And yeah, we'll see how my predictions come true and how I can draft what I want. Let's go.